Second chances, and actually a couple of you who were here yesterday this is all going to look familiar. If I had had the time and if I had known what Sensei was going to do yesterday, I would have put Joshin on the top of it. So the piece of paper is the benefit of actually coming to class. So we want to make sure that the people watching the video realize there's a handout that they are not going to get, because there's value for being here present rather than just buying the video. I tend to do these as notes, very much like PowerPoint presentations, which I hate doing, but I'm not going to read the slides to you. But this is pretty much the sequence in which we're doing things. And for me, this is an exercise because I don't do lesson plans anymore. I haven't in years. So coming out, this is a real good practice for me. And my students say, "Why are you doing this?" Because I got to go out west and do this, and we have to have a handout, and it's not the same thing as our regular class. So at the very top, there's a couple bullet points. I'm going to hit most of them during this class, but the first two are the most important ones. There are no do-overs in self-defense. If I'm working with a computer, most of the time I can actually hit reset, shut everything down, start it up again, and I start from the beginning. It used to be more true than it is now, but that's one of the few times when you actually get a do-over. Say again? Yes. Okay. Anything else, do-overs aren't really an option. Because if I say something stupid that really offends someone, I might say I take that back, but forget it, it doesn't come back. So now I've just changed the environment, and I have to now work with this changed environment. That's true in life, it's true in self-defense. The second point is you only get one shot at any given technique, and that's just self-defense in general. So you don't keep trying the same technique. It didn't work, didn't work, didn't work. No. If it doesn't work the first time, or somehow you flubbed it, they defeated it, do something else. Okay? And we'll hit the rest of them as we go along. Peter, can I use you to start? So very simple one, and we're going to work simple to ridiculously complex if we get to the last one. Very simple one, a roundhouse punch, and I'm going to come in and do this really nice uriguruma, right? Really hard technique to learn, actually. So if this is a good one for students to practice because they get to understand anatomy and people moving and all. But a couple ways to defeat this: if he bends his arm, right, I don't have a hyperextension of his elbow. And if he forces it, or I miss it, which is likely, given a roundhouse punch, his arm is going to be bent. So forcing it into that position is actually a lot of work. But I'm going to do what Sensei taught me. I'm going to do an arm bar, but he bends his arm. He bends his arm, bends his arm, okay. Rather than trying to force that, okay, I've lost the arm bar, now I'm coming in for hijiwaza. Because that's what he gave me. That's his defeat of my technique, so I'm going to go along with his technique and do the hijiwaza instead. Okay? Real simple. Questions? There really shouldn't be anything in here except maybe the last one, which is weird, that doesn't make sense to all of you. We were talking, Sensei and I were talking about this, and I was saying, well, we'll do it Saturday because we expect more green belts. And it's like, okay, everybody here is a teacher already, so I'm talking to you like you're green belts, which we were expecting more of today. All right, good, let's try that just a couple times. So however I end up in here, maybe it starts off bent, I really want to be right on that elbow. And I also want his elbow, if he starts to bend it, I want it bent a lot. Because now we're going with the bend. And I'm going to end up facing the way he's facing and get right under that elbow. The further away I get from the elbow, the less lever I have. What I'm trying to do is actually do this to his shoulder. It's how you remove a turkey leg from, just think of that. And that's what you're doing. You're twisting it off. All the little tendons and ligaments are going to go pop, 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 pop. It won't come off because he hasn't been cooked. But he won't. But if I get right under the elbow, that's where I get the most leverage. And for self-defense, I know I can do this way, but for self-defense, bring that other arm in here and just, as Sensei had said earlier, kind of thrust forward with your hip. He's trying to tap me with his right hand. Okay, just a couple more times and we'll go on to the next one. Now, we gave you one way that this can go wrong, and that could be I flubbed it, he defeated it. This next one is actually a variation on this, and where I started the technique, and this is actually, one of my students actually did this. I come in here, and I've almost got it completely set. If you get this set well, it's going to be really difficult for him to get out of this. But either way that I'm showing you here, there's another couple ways that are possible, but it's still, if it's really set well, not likely. But if I don't, and he's got a little bit of space, which happens because we're being nice to our uke. This last one I threw my elbow forward, right? That way. This one, he's going to go that way. Not that there's a particular good reason for doing that, but people's anatomy trying to get out of something, people go different ways. And one of my students was doing this, and his partner was having a hard time saying, well, what do I do? Okay, what do we do? I need those fingers. Okay, so he handed that to me, no pun intended. I don't do puns, I know, but this room is full of them. So what's happening is I've got this, and he rotates forward. I'm going to come in and catch here. So it's a finger lock, hammer lock. It's less hammer lock than it is finger lock, but I've got a really good secure lock of something on him. Okay? We're going to see that again. Comes in, I start to set this, I've got it, he rolls forward. I'm going to come in here. There we go. Okay. So again, I'm not fighting what he's doing. I'm not fighting, say, no, we're going to do that udiguruma. I say, okay, you want to bend your arm that way? Fine. We're going to end up with your hand behind your back into a finger lock. It's actually more painful than the udiguruma I was going to do because I wasn't going to try to damage his elbow. Now I've got a real good potential of taking a finger out and dislocating it. Okay? Let's try that. So he's got a rear forearm choke. I mean, like that. Good. My Hijimaki, which that's the reference, and you can see it on the web. And I'm just going to show you the technique that we're trying to do to start with. And take him down to the ground. Okay? Now, if he knows it's coming, or he's got a death grip on me, right? And I start to go, he can really pull me in tight to his body. And he can also sidestep just a little bit to the right. As I start to go, now I'm stuck. All right? So instead of continuing to go that direction, I'm going to go this direction. Okay? So just the one arm. All I'm doing is that, except I'm using my body to do it. I do need this in the crook of his elbow I'm going to do that anyway to keep this forearm off my trach. But as I start to do this technique, if I just bow, all I'm doing is pushing his arm down. What I need to do is keep this in tight to my body as I come in here and bow, so that I'm getting that rotation on his shoulder. Very similar effect on the shoulder as the very first one that we did, the hijiwaza. Okay? Now, if you're practicing things like this, it's very important that you commit to each of the techniques, because he may not have the grip on me, and if I just kind of, oh yeah, I'm going to go right into that, I'm not practicing the first technique. And that's one of the difficulties in trying to do this kind of practice is, okay, I know where I'm ending up, so I just kind of pay lip service to that first technique, and then you have to really commit to each technique. And the first one may work, or the second or the third. I think we're going to go 3 or 4 deep in one of these. Okay? Anybody need to see it again? All dozens of you. Right. All you people out there just watching the video, you should have been here. Okay. Teacher once who said, if you're in a fight, pay attention to what style they're using. If they want to box, you're going to wrestle. Right? So if this guy's got this technique and he's really got it and he's fighting you, don't try to force that. It's a test of wills on who's going to succeed. Do something else. Don't do the same thing they're doing. Do something else. That's why I said right at the beginning, you only get one shot at any given technique. If that doesn't work, do something else. Okay? So next one's going to be Ryote Aradori, so double lapel grab. And we're going to do, show you what the technique is that we often do. It's a hijiwaza, but the reason that if you look on your handout, this hijiwaza is a different hijiwaza than the other hijiwaza that we did. So that's why the handout has the reference in there. So I'm going to come in like this and rotate out. Right? Nice and smooth. It's wonderful. Works so well. He comes in and grabs, and he clamps this thing down. And I come in here, and that's not, actually, let's go the other way. So I start to do this technique, and it's simply not going to go. So I'm going to come over here. So he's got me, and I'm focused on this arm, and he's saying, nah, you can't have that arm. Right? That's fine. I will let him put all this ki into that arm. I'm going to come over to this arm and take him down. All that I'm doing is changing the focus. He wants to focus on this one. Initially, it's just a grab and hold. As soon as I start to do something to one side, now he's got an area that he's focusing on. He's got, yeah, I'm going to hold that. Good. Let him hold that. Go to the other side. Don't fight his strength. He's helping you because he's focused over here. That's good. You're going to go this way and he's going to go backwards. Okay? So, that one's simple, right? All right, let's try that one. We're going to actually run several different scenarios for this particular one. All right, good. So, another one from this. And we're going to do like 4 or 5 from where I'm starting this technique in, and it doesn't work. And one of the bullet points is, none of this is prescriptive. It isn't saying, if he grabs this way, you're going to do this technique. If that technique doesn't work, you're going to do this technique. Nah. This is just examples of things that you can do. That's all it is. Get your minds thinking about possibilities, but none of it is prescriptive, because when we're doing self-defense, it's going to be whatever your body can do and your body decides to do at that moment. That's it. And this kind of practice, what we're doing now, helps particularly the brown and black belts in developing that skill. The lower ranks, they're learning the techniques. So they're just learning the alphabet and basic sentence structure and all. And we get up to brown and black belt, now we're saying, okay, go out and write your novels, your poems, create things that have never happened before. Right about there. Okay, so I start to do this, right, that doesn't work. Instead, you come up here, all right, and that didn't work. So even my very first technique didn't work.
No, what are you going to do? No, I got issues here.
Oh, so do you? Okay, let me not use you. Then can I use you?
Better job this time.
That's okay. Wow, that's all right. That doesn't work. I'm coming around. Yep. And I told you weren't going to have to go down anymore. I'm sorry.
We're going down tonight.
It's coming back up. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So this time, instead of, he's clamped down here. Now he's focused on my arms. So I'm in here. That's fine. We're going to ignore his arms altogether. And this is very painful. Mm-hmm. And the trick to this is just to maintain pressure perpendicular to the side of his nose all the way around. Okay? And then we'll come back to where I ran into problems with Peter. But we're going to do that next. And I promise the next couple after this you'll be standing. Okay, let's try those.
Same thing?
Same thing. So I start this, and this is actually where we went with you. I start this, that doesn't work. Remember when you're doing this one, I'm keeping my fingers together, flat, palm of my hand, and I'm sliding across his cheek for two reasons. One is safety. I don't want to be poking at his eyes, and I really want my students to come back all in one piece. So I'm sliding across, but that also helps me find the right spot to push in against the cartilage. And so and you said there's a groove right there. You feel it where the cartilage hits the bone. You really want to be on the cartilage. That's what causes the pain, not pushing against the bone. That's physical pressure as opposed to pain. So I go around, but I get stuck, and this is possible. I can get stuck where I'm fully extended and I can't go any further. All right, now I'm going to do lift, and I won't take you down. I told you I wouldn't take it down.
It's very interesting, just as an aside to everybody. When he does this, all my focus is on this, and if I'm going to resist this, all my focus really is on this. I've totally forgotten about these.
Okay. So I start that technique, it doesn't work. I come up, go around, and when I get close to full extension, that's where I'm most vulnerable in the technique itself. And he can stop at that point. Okay, then I'm going to come up and I'm going to Shihonagi. And if I just step back with my left foot, he's going to fall.
Hey.
Right? So I start here. That doesn't work. Here's my second chance. That doesn't work. Here's my third chance. We'll drop him. Okay? Questions? Okay, let's try it. There's two ways you can do this, and either one's fine. I'll just come in here. Right? So I start to this technique, that doesn't work. I come up, I'm just pushing around, and I get stuck. I can bring my right arm under and lift. Now he's got a good grip. So this is the pivot point where he's grabbed, and I can lift there. Alternatively, I can abandon this and just come back to the hijiwaza we did at the very beginning. Either one is fine. I like this one because now I've got two things going on and it tends to scramble the brain a little bit. This one's a bit more powerful coming in here. Okay? So try either one, try them both. Okay? Again, it's not prescriptive. Okay, so I start this one, and we only got a couple more here to then we'll go on to a different attack. I start to do this, and he's getting tired. He's going to let me get it. Right? But he's young and fresh, and he just got on the mat, and he doesn't let me get me. Okay, I come in here and start to do this, and I get fully extended. Okay, now I come in here, except he lets go. All right, now, the original Hijiwaza was this, where his wrist was caught behind my shoulder. I'm doing exactly the same thing, except he's caught in my gi. If he lets go, I just come in here and step back. I'm not going to drop him, but it's the same thing. As opposed to either being entangled in my gi or caught behind my shoulder, I'm just going to hold this in and continue. So that's certainly a possibility. Now he's got this really wrapped up in my... Now that's going to be tough for him to let go. But he might. Or it might be one of those gentle, I know you're wearing Armani, so I'm not going to do anything too much. And I start in here to do that, and that hand comes out. Good. My other hand's going to catch. And it doesn't matter which one I do. So I start to do this one. Grab. I'm lifting, and he lets go. I still catch that shoulder. I still have all the pressure against this shoulder here. I'm at maximum range of rotation, and he's either going to go down or something's going to go snap inside his shoulder. Okay? Yeah, but I've got to be careful because I don't want to do this. I need to keep that bent, so I need him to go with me just enough so I can drop him. Okay. The caution when I start to step and pivot is there's a possibility I can straighten his arm, and I don't want to do that. I want to maintain that bend. All right? Try that one just a couple times, and then we'll do one more, and then we'll move on, I promise, to a completely different attack. I'm just going to show you this next one because we really don't have a lot of room, even though it's a relatively small group. We don't have a lot of room, but I'll show it to you, then we'll go on to the last two, which are both from the same attack, but two completely different sets of ideas. So we're going to do Hiki-Yokonagi. You're going to do two-hand wrist pull. So he's grabbing two hands, and he's pulling me. All right. So what I'm going to do is come in here, and I'm just going to show you the technique that I'm starting to do to begin with. I'm going to come back here and down. It actually doesn't work really well slow, but that's what we're trying for. One more time. So he pulls. I have an advantage because I can go faster forward. Good. For whatever reason, he doesn't go down. He's ex-Cirque du Soleil, or he's done lots of ballet. Whatever the reason is, he doesn't go down. So he comes in here, I come around. So we've come around, and he's still holding on to me. I'm going to do release by coming in here this way and slicing across his shoulder. So I've done this circle, and it didn't work. So I'm going to use a completely different circle, which is this circle here. All right? But we're kind of short on time and space, so we're not going to do that one, everybody, but I just wanted to show you because it is on the sheet. Okay? So the last one is going to be a cross-arm wrist grab. So I'm going to come in here, Shihonagi. Okay, that's the technique. I'm holding this as a pivot point. I'm pulling his wrist towards me. Now, there's a key piece, at least a lot of my students miss, which is that knee. Because if that knee is not there, I'm really encouraging him to roll. All right? So come on back. So this is dropped down. That's why he's tapping. He can't roll. So that puts pressure, all of the torque that I'm using on his right arm is going into his shoulder because I've secured him here. If I haven't secured him, He's going to roll out. I've lost the technique. Okay, come on back. So I've got him here. Let's come back this way. I'm going to move more in that direction. Get dressed. All right, so he starts to roll. For whatever reason, good. Oh, I've lost that technique, okay? Now I'm just going to put my thumb in the middle of his neck at the base of his skull while I come around here. Roll. Now you can finish your roll. And I actually have him in a more secure location than I would have at the end of the Shihonagi because I've got him now on his stomach. The trick here is I don't have enough time to get around. In order to ensure the time, I need to delay him, so as he turns and his head starts to face the ground, I'm pushing right there, right at the base of his skull, on the soft part, and that's just pitting his head to the mat, or to the ground, or the concrete, or whatever. And as I come around here, to take his arm back. Okay, so roll back over, we'll do it one more time. Yeah, let's take it. So let's just start with you down on the ground. All right, we can do the whole thing. All right, so Shihonagi, I come in. All right, now scoot back this way so that we... Right here. Okay, so he gets out. However he does that. He rolls, he rolls, he rolls, he rolls, he rolls. That's the spot I'm pushing. There. Otherwise, he can get out faster than I can get to this side to pin him. So I'm going to take advantage of that. He's going to allow me the honor of pressing against that nerve at the base of his skull in the back. I'm just going to hold him down, honor him while I get around to the other side, and then I'm going to let go. And now we've got a better pin than we would have at the end of Shihonagi. Okay? All right. Questions? Do you need to see it? Yeah. So I'm here. That's my hold. That's what's keeping him here, and that's what's allowing all the torque to go into his shoulder. I release, for whatever reason, I didn't secure it enough, or he wiggled enough. However he gets out of this, he starts to roll. At that spot, that's where I pin his head. Come around, straighten the arm out. Now we can let go.
Okay, so keep control of the center.
Right, roll back over to the other side. So he grabbed me right to right. In the Shihonagi, I ended up counter grabbing with my right. My left hand just holds this in pivot. The right hand never lets go. So this is the hand he grabbed. I counter grab in the technique to do the Shihonagi. I stay down here and do need to reposition my hand just a bit to get this lever. But then as he rolls, I'm still hanging on to this. I stop him with the nerve technique, but now I'm going to straighten his arm out. My right hand never let go, never lost contact. Okay? Questions? Anybody in the audience? All you out there in video land? Okay, good. They didn't have any questions. I don't have anything to answer. Okay, last one. A bit complicated, a bit tricky. It's more the flow, follow. Go ahead, sensei. The follow through. So I'm in here. I still have this cross arm wrist grab, and I'm coming in. Go to your knees. Okay, so actually, that's where I wanted him to end up, but I gave him verbal commands. So he goes. What normally happens in a dojo, he does this. That's dojo jutsu. He knew exactly where I wanted him to go, so he's being really, really cooperative. That's not likely to happen. And there's a lot of things we end up doing because we practice so much as ukes. We're very cooperative, and that's unlikely to be what's really going to happen. Now go to your knees. So he doesn't want to go to the ground, right? That makes sense. I wouldn't want to go to the ground. Now I'm stuck, all right? Just for giggles, and it's the last technique. All right? And I'm doing this slow because I'd like him to be able to teach tomorrow. Back. Okay. And there. That's the hold. And I've hooked his arm, and I've kept my left foot. I can't quite get around him. I kept my left foot. No, you're fine. You're fine. Left foot close enough to his elbow that he can't slide it out. There's two ways out of this. The first is I missed the hook to begin with. The second is not stepping on his gi. Okay. The second is I didn't close that gap. I gave him too much mate aki, and he can take that out. And now his way out, what am I telling him to do? I'm telling him to roll, right? So he rolls, and now we're back to this. All right? So I flubbed either because I gave him too much crotch space, or I flubbed because I didn't hook the arm to begin with. And his instinct, because I'm telling him that's the way to go, he's going to roll out. He rolls out. We'll show you one more time. I'm going to... All right? So, no dojo jutsu here. So instead, I'm going to hook, and I'm going slow so I don't damage him, and don't have enough space. Come forward. Good. Okay, so we're here. Right? That's secured. I didn't secure it. Instead, he pulls that arm out, and I'm going to fall down and roll. And the only pain technique I've got is this wrist press, but I've got him down on his stomach, fairly secure. His arm's compromised, but not really to the point where I can get any pain in his shoulder unless his shoulder's already compromised. Depending upon the two anatomies, I may be able to sit up straight and just hold it here. In this case, I'm just going to grab the gi and pull myself in. Just takes less work for me to sit up properly. Okay, questions? My way out is that way, so no damage done. Okay, you want to try it?